Welcome to the Kegel maintenance videos. Today we will be replacing the buffer brush on your Atlas or Atlas walker. I've taken the liberty of removing the 7-pin side cover. If you need assistance doing this, refer to the side guard removal video. To start, the brush must be in the up position. With Atlas, the machine's home position is up. You'll have an excessive amount of slack on the belt if this is correct. With our 9/16 socket, we will loosen our idler. Once released, we will pull the belt at the buffer pulley and rotate the buffer brush, guiding the belt off the pulley. We will now want to remove our brush link shoulder bolts. Taking your 3/16 cut Allen, we will remove the brush lift shoulder bolt. Once removed, you will want to repeat the procedure on the other side. With both the brush lift rod shoulder bolts removed, we'll now move to the exterior of the machine. Remove the shoulder bolt from the brush, supporting the brush so it does not fall. We will now repeat the process on the other side of the machine and gently remove. With your 3/16 Allen, remove the bolt. Followed by the flat washer, your pulley, your key, and the brass bushing. Remove the two bolts here and here. On the opposite side, we will want to start with our 1/2-inch jam nut. Remove the jam nut, followed by the lock washer, followed by the tensioner, followed by the last lock washer. Remove the bolt. And lastly, the forward bolt. With our tensioner bolt and our forward bolt removed, we will now move down to the crossbar mounting bolts. Using a 5/32 Allen head, remove the bolts. Before removing the bracket, loosen the two 1/8-inch Allen screws on both sides of the brush assembly. Note there are 2 per bearing. Hold the transfer roller and the buffer brush. Gently lift up. And remove the bearing mount. From here, slide your bearing off and loop the belt around the shaft. You'll loosen the 2 set screws on the pulley and remove from the brush. I've taken the liberty of loosening the hardware to save time for the video. On the opposite end, with both the set screws loose, we can now remove the other bearing. Take your new brush, and before applying any hardware, we're going to take some 10W30 lubricating oil and apply some to the buffer brush. This will assist with adding hardware back on. Take your bearing, noting the difference with no machined flange, and slide it back on. On the opposite end, take the same lubricating oil and apply it to the brush. Take your pulley and notice the two flat spots here and here. They will align with the set screws on your pulley. Once back in place, secure the pulley. Take your new brush assembly first, putting the brush shaft through the transfer roller belt, and then gently resting on the other side. With your brush back in the assembly, take the machine-edged bearing and face that point down. Take your bearing mount and reapply. Once in place, reinsert the crossbar hardware. These two bolts you can tighten all the way. On the opposite end, we will now want to reinsert our two bearing bolts to hold the brush in place. Once the support bar is secured, add your bearing hardware, making sure the short bolt goes on top, and the longer bolt on the flat machine side portion of the bearing. We will now replace our transfer roller belt idler. Remember, the flat portion of the bearing should be facing this bolt. Take a lock washer. We've also taken the time to disassemble our idler, clean it, and using some 10W30 lubricating oil, lubricate the idler. Slide the idler on and hold in place. Add your second lock washer, followed by your jam nut. Once finger tight, taking a 1/2-inch wrench, apply light pressure on the idler and tighten the jam nut. Once the transfer roller belt has been adjusted, we will now come to the other end of the buffer assembly. To reinstall, we will take our bronze bushing, followed by our key, followed by our pulley, and finally our washer and bolt. Tighten the bolt, and also finish tightening your bearing mount hardware we installed earlier. We are now ready for reinstallation. Take the brush with the transfer roller facing you and gently reinsert back into the machine frame. Gently lift the assembly. Reinsert your shoulder bolt and do the same on the other side. Be sure to not fully tighten the bolts until all 4 bolts are in place. With both the outer shoulder bolts started, we will now want to reattach our brush lift shaft. Supporting the roller and being cautious not to clip your oil head belt in the back, we will gently hold the brush in place. Take your inner shoulder bolt, place through the brush lift linkage, and begin tightening. Again, do not fully tighten until the other side is secured. With one side secure, we will now move to the opposite side. Again, supporting the roller and gently pulling back. Be cautious of your oil head belt. Feed the bolt through the linkage. And reattach the hardware. With all 4 bolts in place, you can now tighten all 4 shoulder bolts, starting with the linkages. With your linkages now tight, you will now secure the main frame bolts. With our brush back in place, the last piece of hardware we will need to tighten will need to be the set screws on the bearing. Remembering there are 2 set screws per bearing, take an 1/8 inch Allen, and secure the bearing. Before proceeding, be sure to re-secure your oil tip assembly. Take the new belt, loop it around the buffer pulley, fold both ends over under the ZTR wheel and the ZTR shaft support. Route it up to the buffer pulley and spin the buffer brush, routing the belt back on. With the buffer belt now replaced, we will want to move the brush to the down position to set our tension. To do this, we will go to Main Menu, Tests, Output, and finally Brush Lift. To adjust, apply light pressure to the idler and tighten the jam nut in the oil compartment. Once snug, we will want just a little bit of play in the belt. With our buffer belt tension properly set, we will now check for proper rotation of the buffer brush. While still in output test, select buffer. With proper rotation and tension, you can now test the machine on lane operation.